Welcome back, students, to part 3 of our lesson Historiography Indian Tradition. In the previous part, we seen historiography in the modern period as well as various ideological frameworks. We seen Indian history being written by the British officers or historians, by Orientalists as well as by nationalists. Let's continue with our next topic, that is historiography in the post independence period. I want all of you all to have your textbooks open to page number 11. Alright, so let's begin. Historiography in the post independence period. Now, along with writing the dynastic histories, the cultural, social, economic histories were also being written. Dynastic histories are histories of rulers, great rulers, and their kingdoms. Apart from that, what happened during that time while the king was in its rule. Okay, but in the post independence period, after India got its independence, a lot of scholars and historians began to feel the need to write about various other communities, sciences, economic systems, political ideologies, and cultural aspects. They wanted to broaden the horizon of writing history, not just about kings and about things of the past. They wanted to write about what are the various other aspects of human life. All right. So we come to the first, that is Marxist history. There are three various types we are going to deal with: Marxist history, subaltern history, and feminist history. From here, you are already aware of Marxist history as well as feminist history. Let's start with Marxist history now. We all know that Marxist history started with Karl Marx, all right, and he spoke about class division, all right. So here, the historians that followed his ideology focused on the means of production, modes of production, and the industrial relations. I've already told you what is means of production concerning land, labor, capital, that is money, as well as the business owner. All right. Modes of production is how the production would take place. All right. And industrial relations, how one industry is connected to the other. Analyzing and studying the impact of every social event is the prime focus. So, these historians would analyze every historical event in the past and they would try to see how it impacted society, how it impacted the various levels of society, the rich as well as the poor. They studied the transition in the caste system. You all already know what caste system is. There are some people in the community that are considered as higher class, some considered as lower caste. Okay, so what is the transition, the changes that took place? From these Marxist historians, we have a very few prominent ones that try to make the society realize how there is a division that is being caused because of this classes, okay, with the higher class and the lower class. From here, we have various noted Marxist historians, all right, starting with Dharmanand Kosambi, Comrade Shripad Amrut Dange, Ram Sharan Sharma, Comrade Sharad Patil are all notable historians. From here, Comrade Shripad Amrut Dange, he was the founder, please underline, of the Indian Communist Party. Okay, now communist is nothing but the creation of a classless society where everything is owned by the society. There will not be any higher class, no lower class, there will be no rich and poor. Everyone is equal. He has also written a book known or called Primitive Communism to Slavery. In this book, he represents Marxist historiography. All right, he talks about how history should be written and how the society, an ideal society where there would be no class system at all. Next, we come to subaltern history. Now, before we get into subaltern, the meaning of subaltern means bottommost rank of society. We're talking about the lowest class in society, the lowest level in society. The seeds of subaltern history are found in Marxist historiography. From Marxist history, came this branch of subaltern history. All right, and it is the history of people who are considered as the bottommost rank of the people in the society, starting from grassroots level. Okay, now according to these historians, folklore, okay, what is folklore? Folk are people, lore are stories or songs being sung. They become a very important source for writing this subaltern history, because folklore is carried out by the people who were poor, and it talks about their life, the misery that they are facing. All right, so from this we get more and more information about the people living in this bottommost ranks. See, you can understand the progress of a country or a nation depending on how the bottommost section of society is treated. Okay, so if the poor are treated well, obviously the rich also will be treated well, so therefore there is progress in the country. But if a country only caters to the rich and ignores the poor, that's when we see a fault in the society. All right, and this is what subaltern history makes us realize. To understand that, we need to understand the life of the people of the bottommost part of society. Now, one particular Italian historian, all right, his name is Antonio Gramsci. He played an important role in developing the idea that history should be written starting from the bottommost rank of society. We get to know the true history of the country depending on how the people of that society are treated. Next, we come to another important historian, that is Ranjit Guha. He was the one who established subaltern history as an important academic school of historiography. He said that in order for us to understand about the society better, we need to know about the bottommost ranks or the bottommost section of society. But even before this could become a school of thought, all right, we have already seen Mahatma Jyotirao Phule and Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, who had already drawn the attention of the people towards subaltern history. Okay, Mahatma Phule unfolded the history of the Shudra Atishudra communities in his book known as Gulamgiri. Okay, now we already know that in the caste system, the bottommost part of the society were known as the Shudras, untouchables. Okay, and Shudras, Atishudras, their community and how they were being treated at that time. All of this was written by Mahatma Jyotirao Phule in his book called Gulamgiri. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar wrote two books, Who Were the Shudras and the Untouchables. In these books, he describes the injustice done to the Dalit caste and their significant role in shaping the various cultural and political aspects of India. Till today, we have reserved seats for these people, okay, for the backward classes of society. It was all possible because of the work and the effort put in by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. All right, they used to be treated really badly in society, and over time, how they have shaped the cultural as well as political aspects of India. Even though they have contributed so much, still their role was not acknowledged, not given importance. We come to the next type of history, that is feminist history. We've already spoken of feminist historiography in the previous lesson, okay, talking about history being written from the female point of view. All right, over a significant period of time, mainly male scholars were involved in the writing of Indian history. We see a lot of history only being written by male members of society. As a result, the role and achievements of women in society or in history remained neglected to be ignored. So, even if women did play an important part in shaping history, their role was not included in the male writing of history. All right, and because of this, feminist historians began to fight to highlight this fact. They began to make people aware that women also had an important role to play in history. But why are we being left out? All right. And it was indeed a difficult task to compile and study the historical writings of women. Women in those days could have written various accounts or events of the past, but their writings were not taken into consideration. It was not considered important. It was necessary to rethink the position of women in history, and because of that, we need to rethink what kind of position women played in history. Now, we are going to see various feminist historians that played an important role to bring about the importance of women in history. Our very first female historian is Tarabai Shinde. She has written a book called Stri Purush Tulna. Tulna, a comparison being made between men and women. In this book, she wrote attacking the male dominated social system and the caste system. We already know that in the ancient times in India, man was considered to be the head of the family and he dominated everything else, the social system as well as the caste system. Okay, and it was first published in the year 1882, and it is also known as the first feminist book in India. I want all of you all to underline this book, underline the name of the writer, as well as what is this work. It is the first feminist book in India. All right. The next we have in the year 1888, the book written by Pandita Ramabai was also published, and her book was called The High Caste Hindu Woman. All right. She too wrote about how women were treated differently in society. Feminist literature of the post independence era. Now we're talking about after independence. Okay, they concentrated on issues like employment of women and the treatment meted out to them at their workplace, their right to political equality, etc. So here we speak about more uh, recent issues, why women are not being employed, what kind of treatment is given to them at their workplace. All right, do they have political equality? Were they given the right to vote at that time? All right, all of these issues became part of feminist historiography or feminist literature. Okay, among these, the recently published feminist literature, we have first one is Meera Kosambi's book. It is called Crossing Thresholds: Feminist Essays in Social History. This is of great importance as it contains essays on the lives or life stories of women like Pandita Ramabai and Dr. Rukamabai, who was the first practicing lady doctor of India. So it was a great achievement for women to firstly be educated and for her to be a doctor, and people would really go to her to be treated, was a great deal at that time. So it talks about the lives of these very great women who have changed the view of history from everyone's point of view. When we talk of history, we only speak of the male dominated side of history and not the female point of view. It also unfolds the viewpoint of Dalit women in Maharashtra. We already know that the Dalits were already treated so badly in the country. Now, even worse was the case of women. Women were treated even worse than the normal women, or normal citizens in the country. So we see that over time, okay, how there has been a change in viewing female history as well as their position in writing of past events. Next we come to um, Dr. Sharmila Rege's work, which is a very noteworthy text. Her book is called Writing Caste, Writing Gender, Reading Dalit Women's Testimonies. A testimony is nothing but to share various experiences. These include her essays on the autobiographies of Dalit women. You already know what an autobiography is. So, talking about the lives of Dalit women, what kind of condition and what kind of circumstances they have faced, what are the various problems that they faced at that time, all right, as well as in recent events or recent times, what kind of changes has been seen in the society. We know that women in the beginning were not given the right to educate themselves, were not given the right to own property, were not given the right to vote. But slowly we see that in the society there has been slight progress. Women have fought for their rights over the time, and therefore we see that there has been changes in the way men view women in history now. There have been other Indian historians who wrote about embrace without embracing any ideology. We have already seen three different kinds of ideologies now. We've seen Marxist history, we've seen feminist history, and we've seen subaltern history. Leaving these various ideologies out, there have been other historians that have written about other types of history or other aspects of human life in the past. Okay, they are Sir Jadunath Sarkar, Surendranath Sen, Riyasatkar G.S. Sardesai. He has published various volumes of Maratha history. Okay, that you will see in on page number 13. There's a small little do you know, you could read that. And Triambak Shankar Shezwalkar. Okay, thus, with all what we have seen so far, it is evident that Indian historiography has been greatly influenced by social and political movements. We have seen that over time, how various social movements, political movements have influenced historians to write more and more history. It seems that some parts of his Indian historiography was developed even outside the influence of these movements. So, without considering the social movements, without considering political movements, history has also been written based on various other aspects of human life. So, with that, we come to the end of our lesson. Okay, I want all of you all to read the lesson once more. Please prepare certain charts for yourself, which will be so much more easier for you to remember which person wrote what book and what did the book contain, what details, what work, what information do we get through that book. All right, it will be so much more easier for you to learn as well as to remember. Now, from your textbook, question numbers 2, 3, 4, and 6 have to be done in your classwork books. The others can be done in the textbook itself. All right. With that, we come to the end of our lesson. Thank you, children, and have a good day.